Why do so many of us feel lonely, even when we are surrounded by people? Why can it be that we feel more connected than ever before, and yet we feel more isolated than we ever have? We scroll through endless updates, we text, we DM, we're in group chats and comment threads, and yet somehow real connection feels harder to find. It's not that we're alone, it's that we don't feel seen. Today, we're exploring why loneliness is rising in the age of connection and what it actually takes to build relationships that feel real, grounding, and human again. Welcome to the Wisdom of Wow podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Wisdom of Wow. As always, I'm here by Kate at her side.
Yes.
I am the co-host of her podcast. This is her
correct. This is correct. Welcome.
Yeah, we're 3 weeks into this thing, or maybe 6 weeks into this thing. I don't think we officially decided how often we're going to drop episodes, but this is Wisdom 3, and I'm having a blast so far. But we've been talking all about loneliness lately.
Really lighthearted topic. Something that really makes us feel good.
Yeah, and thankfully, I get to sit this one out. This is yours to roll with. I've never felt lonely in my entire life.
Well, I definitely have, so buckle in, everybody.
Yeah. What was the time that you feel like you felt the most lonely or isolated, despite the reality that you were physically surrounded by lots of people?
Yeah, so there's probably a couple that I could think of, but the one that is the most prominent in my head is the day, like within an hour of finishing Story in 2016. It was the first year that we had done Story. You know, you have 500 people in this beautiful room. We had poured our hearts out. It was the first year that we had done it. And we got to the end of it. And though I was really proud of everything that we had created, I felt very lonely. And I think there was a piece of me that was like, does anyone understand my life? Does anyone understand what just happened? It wasn't, a lack of people coming up to me or going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I still had all of those pieces, but it was very lonely because it was, okay, now we got to go back and do this again. Okay, we've got to recreate something like this. How do we level it up? And I couldn't not think about all of the things that were still to come and that I didn't have anyone outside of you to talk about that. All of the feelings and emotions I had, because they would just look at me like I was weird. Okay, you do these events. Or, okay, I thought you did. And it was very lonely, which probably to anybody listening who was at Story would go, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
It was a very, very isolating experience to find yourself, especially in a room full of people who were excited to be there, wanted to talk to you. I felt very, very lonely.
Yeah.
Which I think is different than being alone.
For sure.
Or even isolated. It was more like an isolation of my mind. I couldn't feel like I actually belonged in the room. I couldn't feel like all of these other things, but I don't know. Yeah. That's what comes to mind for me.
That makes total sense. I have so many memories of that. Not really the exact story I'll pick, but moments where you're in a theater, you do a show for 1,000 people, you sign 250 autographs, 250 of those 1,000 people stuck around to meet you. Everybody wants their picture with you. And then you get on a tour bus and you climb into your bunk and you close the curtain and you just lay there and you're like, how did I just go from that to this? It still happens sometimes, when I'm traveling by myself these days, doing corporate keynotes and speaking at conferences. It's like you're around all these people and you're just like, oh, I just need a break. But then you sit down in the restaurant to eat that meal by yourself, or you go into the hotel room at night.
You get on a plane.
Yeah. I feel it a lot. Some nights, it's like you walk into a hotel room, you sit down on your stuff. And sometimes I sit down on the edge of the bed and I'm like, it's so quiet. And you feel like this is the thing that I've been craving, is like quiet space alone so I can actually think. And so everything that was out there was trying to get away from. And now you're in it, experiencing it. And it's like, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like this. But I think, if I had to pick one thing as a tangible example that I think might be helpful as a way of us exploring the story you shared in this topic, I think it's there's something about entrepreneurship, leadership in general,
Mm.
I think feels really lonely sometimes because it's less lonely, I think, for me because we're both
Yeah.
life partners and business partners. And so you can relate to the struggle of
Mhm.
trying to grow something and risking it all, trying to get something off the ground and all the rejection that comes day in and day out when people are like, no, we're going to go a different direction or, hey, I'm leaving or whatever. But it's amazing how a simple phone call from someone who can help you feel seen rescues you from the loneliness, even if you're still in a room with no other physical people. And one of the many things that popped to mind for me was our now mutual friend, Ken Black, called
Oh,
me years
Ken's
ago.
great.
And for context, Ken used to be the VP of Design Future at Nike for a while. And the reason why that detail is important because on this particular day, he called me up. He's like, Harris, how's it going? We had just become friends recently. I think he'd come to Story, the conference that we produced that you heard Kate mention
Mhm.
earlier. And he's like, how's it going? And I don't remember what I said, but it was some version of, dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like all this feels new. And yes, I'm trying to do some of the same things I did last year. It's just, I feel like I'm in uncharted territory. I feel like I don't have enough. I feel like I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go, thinking that was unwise. And then in a single sentence, Ken helped me feel seen and rescued me from isolation. He goes, dude, welcome to every single day of my career at Nike.
Mm.
And I was like, hold on. There's no way. You don't get to be something like a vice president at a global brand like Nike unless you actually know what you're doing. And he spent the next few minutes, I don't remember the exact words after that, but the next few minutes explaining to me that, hey, you really are in uncharted territory. And
Mhm.
when you're playing the role of visionary and you're trying to create and build meaningful things, um, you really are often days. There's no manual and there's no guidebook and there's not oftentimes no map. So you can seek out wisdom, but the wisdom you're looking for isn't anchored in calling the person who has the right answers. It's just staying open and curious enough to make sure that you discover what you're supposed to discover along the way. But when I think about moving from isolation to feeling seen, I felt so seen in that moment.
Mm.
And I've had a lot of those moments kind of throughout my career. But it reminds me that loneliness and isolation isn't just a physical proximity issue.
Right.
It really is someone seeing you.
Right. Yeah. Between the two of us, I'm the introvert.
Yeah.
So that might come as a complete shock to some people who are listening. They're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I've also trained myself how to show up in a room over many years of being on stage, but I'm the introvert. And so I think I can sometimes actually feel more at home
Yeah.
all by myself. And I feel okay all by myself. So it's not like what you're saying, it's not physical proximity. It's that I feel so alone in my mind and in my heart
Yes.
because I'm going, does anyone actually understand me? Does anyone actually know what it is that I'm feeling in this moment? Because, like I'm faking it until I make it somehow in some way because I'm going, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm trying to be this parent. I'm trying to show up as a spouse. I'm trying to show up as a business co-owner. But it definitely requires something different
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
from our brains to
Yeah.
show up differently.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. So I think that's the best place to
Mm,
begin this conversation is, loneliness isn't a lack of people.
right.
It's a lack of meaningful connection with the people.
Hmm.
And so you can be surrounded by people and feel completely isolated. And I think a lot of that has to do with the reality that these days it feels like we talk at each other. Like for me to look into a camera and talk at people is one thing, but I think what wisdom does is it slows down and says, "Hey, I don't have all the answers, but let's have a meaningful conversation." And part of that process is the connection that comes from allowing myself to be known. The problem is we don't share much of ourselves these days. And so technology can give us that illusion. It's like
Yeah.
a facade
Yeah.
or a veneer. It's like not really hardwood floors. These are veneer floors. We don't realize there's like this tiny little veneer that's run across the top that's creating the illusion of connection while undermining
Well, and
actual
social
depth.
media does the same thing. And I think subconsciously we all understand this. Especially, our generation is like, man, we used to just go and disappear outside for hours and hours and hours and be with people. And then we get social media platforms. You have Instagram, you have Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever your platform is. And I know that it has happened to me where someone has come up to me and I haven't seen them in a very long time. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, I saw that you did this and this and this and this and this." And it's jarring because you're like, "Yeah, but we don't actually know each other." So there's the connection. Like, we're connected,
Yeah.
but we're not actually participating in each other's lives. We're connected, but we don't actually understand the nuance behind the thing.
Yes.
And it gets said a lot, so it could sound cliche that social media is a highlight reel. In every aspect of the world. How many times do you film the video before you actually post it? How many filters did you run over the photograph before you actually put it on the internet? And there is this lurking that gets to happen from far away into people's lives. You got 2,200 people that are my followers.
Yeah.
But only maybe 10 of them do I actually have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And so, and the disconnect grows deeper and deeper and deeper because we take this pseudo sense of connection and we go, we're connected. I now believe that this is what connection looks like.
Yep.
Yet I still feel depleted. I still feel empty.
Yep. I don't know if you guys probably remember this because I feel like it was in the news headlines everywhere not too long ago. But the Surgeon General kind of came out and just said, "Hey guys, we have a public health crisis." And they started talking about it as a loneliness epidemic. And then there were all these stats like how loneliness increases risk of premature death. And they started comparing it to things like smoking cigarettes. But basically, sure, smoking cigarettes can kill you, but loneliness can kill you faster. And when we hear people talking about loneliness like that, it seems to make us perk up and be like, "Oh, I got to do something about that." But what do? We reach for our phones and we go post more to social media. And that of course, activates all those comparison centers in the brain and not the bonding centers of the brain. People today have fewer friends than they used to have, or at least close friends than any other generation throughout history. That's a problem. There's a problem.
Yeah. Which I would argue that we have fewer friends because we have less connection, because we are assuming the connection comes from a device.
Yeah.
Instead of, "Hey, let's go grab coffee." It's, "Yeah, I watched 42 reels that you sent me today." That is great. And I highly suggest sending your best friends reels, but that's not the actual connection piece because I don't learn anything about your life. You don't learn anything about mine, which means I'm still going through the day dealing with everything all by myself.
Yeah.
And that's where the loneliness kicks in. And you go, well, if I'm lonely, I don't want anyone else to realize that I feel that way. And then I'm dragging them down. And so then I don't want to. And then spiral.
Yes.
And then we get in bed and we cry. Oh, is that just me? Oh, is that just me? I just get in bed and cry. That's fine. I'm so alone.
But you're not alone in those feelings. I mean, the reality is, and you be honest with yourself, guys, like, do you feel seen or unseen the majority of the time? And if you find yourself going like, "Yeah, I feel seen," you are now in the minority of the average human, at least the average American's experience. The reality is people feel generally unseen these days. And yet the thing that can solve for it is you willing to share your story. And yet people rarely share their story. And then when we share our stories, we don't even share the real story as some kind of like fake story. It's the highlight reel that you're talking about.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I'm an anomaly in that I don't care as much as the average person might care. But I do know that I am regularly misunderstood. So when I show up fully in a room, there can be there's just a misunderstanding sometimes from people who are like, "Oh, that's who you are." And you're like, "Yes, of course."
Yes, you said something, and I immediately reached for my phone. Not because I'm trying to make you feel, but I was like, "Oh my gosh, you gave me a thought," because I read something in a newsletter recently, and it was about Cambridge Dictionary's 2025 Word of the Year. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, so every year dictionaries, all the people who own the rights to the dictionaries, they're like, "Oh, this is emerging in culture. It's a new word, or the definition of that word has shifted," and so parasocial is one of the word of the year by Cambridge. Parasocial is defined as, guys, get this. Parasocial is defined as, quote, a relationship felt by someone between themselves and a famous person they do not know.
Oh, that just gives me all the
A
ick.
relationship felt by someone between themselves and a famous person they do not know. Basically, a parasocial relationship is a one-way emotional attachment to a public figure, celebrity, influencer, or content creator who doesn't know you exist, and you can feel close to them, know their voices, habits, humor, values, and tiny details of their lives, but they do not know you. And essentially how it can feel like that relationship is personal, but it's actually not. So it's giving us this illusion of connection to someone because that person is allowing themselves to be seen by others, but because of a literal lack of visibility to you or your willingness to allow them to see you, it's not mutual. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, again, just so much ick feeling.
But I think part of the reason this exists is like, well, I want to be entertained by these people
Right.
because it helps me escape. But like, I don't need anybody. I don't need anyone. And I think especially, not to make this too much about gender, but I notice this more often with men, I think, at least in my circle of guy friends, there's this pretending that goes on as if like, oh, I don't need anybody. I don't need friends. I'm good with I've actually said that out loud in a season where I feel isolated and lonely. It's like, oh, I'm good. I love my wife. She's my best friend. I like hanging out with my kids, and I'm always fighting the battle of making sure they get enough of my time. I'm good. I don't need friends.
I don't think that's gender exclusive. I really don't. I think it just it's skinned differently for women.
Mm.
I would say that my friends and I probably show up incomplete in a room, though we want the physical connection of being in a room, having coffee, getting lunch,
Yeah.
going out. And that solves for a piece of the isolation. But then again, we highlight reel
Yep.
because we're afraid to actually show up as who we are. Now, I have some incredible friends who don't allow that
Mm.
from me. Hey, okay, we see this. Leave it on Instagram. Tell me what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And it is so refreshing to know that you can come with all of your junk and your baggage and the emotion. And I recently had someone be like, literally stand in front of me and go, how are you really doing?
Yeah.
And I think I just stood there and cried because I didn't even know how to show up. Like it
Because
felt
someone
so,
saw you.
yeah. And it felt so foreign to try to, no, I'm really okay, knowing you're just like melting inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just need people who can see us. You don't need a lot of them. You just need a couple.
But it requires effort on both parts.
Yeah.
We need people who see us. And when we are seen, we need to allow ourselves to be seen,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes means opening up instead of making all these excuses. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys make these excuses all the time. I make these excuses. I hear her
I'm
make these excuses.
busy.
I'm busy.
Good.
Curate your image, protect your image. You got to look out for your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make sure all your relationships. This happens a lot with leaders and entrepreneurs. I need all my relationships to be
Maintain
super
the authority.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's all about efficiency. It's
Yeah.
like I don't have time for the small talk. So let's just cut to it, right? All right. So how do we apply the concept of this podcast to this topic, the wisdom of wow? Well, if wisdom begins in wonder, then we've got to start by acknowledging some things and asking some questions, right? Again, wonder opens us up to see others and allow others to see us. There's a fascinating study connected to positive awe states where when we have experiences of awe, it creates this sense of smallness, not in the I feel less than, but it's awareness of the reality that I'm a part of a bigger, more equal whole.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're in a state of awe, we start to feel that sense of wonder that opens us up. So we're capable of connecting with other people. And then you can start questioning some of the narratives that are driving the stories that you're telling yourself. I think loneliness often comes from the story that we're, some version of I'm not enough, or maybe I'm too much. People won't understand me. I should be able to do this without the help of a whole bunch of other people. And
Why are you talking about me? Why are you talking about me?
These
I
stories
just say
just
those
aren't
things
true.
every day, all day.
Yeah. And so when we ask those kind of questions, we can just pause and go, what's the story I'm telling myself right now? Is that story true?
Yeah.
Again, that's wonder, doing some work, wisdom kicking in so we can discern. the truth from the lies. The truth is humans are wired for connection. You are worthy for belonging. You are capable of so much more through collaboration. Life is so much more beautiful with shared meaning than us trying to do it on our own. And I think there's a lot of people that are ready, like deep down, they desire to be in relationship of some form. I'm not talking about like, the people who are like, oh, I'm single and I really want to be married. I'm talking about the people who are pretending, oh, I don't need anybody because I'm good and I'm better off on my own. That's a soundtrack and a story and a narrative that's probably been born out of hurt in the past where someone didn't see you during a time that you desperately needed to experience connection. And because they didn't, your brain is using that pattern as a blueprint for the future. Therefore, your imagination is being used destructively instead of productively. Now, worry is a misuse of imagination. Your anxiety is practicing failure in advance, and you just stay stuck. The truth is, connection is possible for you, and you are worthy of it. And so, if that's true, and I believe it is, then that can allow us to walk away from conversations like this one, recognizing, guys, listen, loneliness is not a sign that you are deemed for like, or that you're like a socially awkward failure.
Well, you might not be a failure, you might be socially awkward, but it's okay. Like we in our kitchen,
Yes.
we have a board, like an old school, like church letter board that hangs on the wall. And it has one phrase, and it has only ever had one phrase on it in all of the years that we've had it. And it says, fear is a liar. Fear is a liar.
Which doesn't mean that fear is always lying to you, but it's, hey,
But
remember, fear can be a liar. You got to watch out.
Fear can distort reality.
Yeah.
So if we look at that in the context of loneliness, the fear is I'm not enough. I don't show up well. Someone is going to judge me.
Yep.
And I am 100% guilty of living in that loop so many days of the year.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I don't have what it takes. And I have to turn off that distortion to go, okay, what is the thing that I'm so afraid of? Is it being seen? Is it being alone? Is it making a stupid mistake? And understanding that those lies are what are keeping me
Yes.
tamped down, whatever the word is, to not show up. I play small.
Yep.
And when we stop playing small, we start connecting differently. When we allow ourselves to be seen, we open ourselves up to so much more. And that's the whole concept of this. When you're choosing the wisdom of wow, you're going all of those other things, all of those fears, all of those, disillusionment, it gets over, we're going to put it over here.
Yep.
So that when I do show up, I can feel that like, oh my gosh, someone saw me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, it felt so good to be seen. Oh my gosh, it felt so good to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Those are little tiny moments of wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Little tiny moments where you're going against the grain, countercultural.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing to be vulnerable. And I think there was a movement, thanks to Brene Brown, of vulnerability. And then I think we stepped over some sort of threshold where we became overly vulnerable to the point where you like vulnerability vomit all over people.
Yes.
And that also makes us feel lonely because we've now put everything out there and then we immediately retract.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. I would say, like, just as an encouragement to anyone who's listening into this conversation and they're like, yeah, Harris, I'm longing for some type of connection. Recognize, one, that you're worthy for it. And it is a little still small voice of wisdom that is trying to get the attention of your heart and your mind and your soul, to say, hey, this loneliness that you're feeling, it's there as a reminder that you need to make an effort to know others and allow yourself to be known by them. And so don't assume that it's a threat or that it's there to taunt you and be like, look how lonely you are. Like the voice is just mocking you, but instead to consider it an invitation, and recognize that the way out isn't that you need to go build an audience of more Instagram followers, because oftentimes connection doesn't require you to even be around more people. It is oftentimes as simple as just committing yourself to a deeper presence with the people that are already in your life. And so you could start by just asking one person in your life a simple question like, hey, what's something that you've been carrying around lately that I don't know about? I'd love to ask you that question right now. I have no idea what you're going to say. Totally putting you on the
What's
spot
the
right now.
question?
What's something that you're carrying around right now that perhaps even I, doing life alongside of you day in and day out, I may not even know about?
Oh, I was not prepared. I was fully unprepared for this question. Um, oh man, fully vulnerable. That I actually am really lonely these days.
Mm,
Funny that we're having this conversation. I started going through my head. I was just like, I tell clients all the time that social media followers and likes and shares are they're called vanity metrics for a reason. Because we are searching for this thing that
yeah.
doesn't actually mean anything. And I am so guilty of hunkering down when things are hard.
Yeah.
And I remove myself out of fear because again, the fear loop that or the loop that I have in my head is you aren't enough. You don't have it. And so when things feel like they might be strained or pulled at the seams, I go, oh, see, you're not enough. You don't have it. And I think, getting around the holidays, it gets hard because you're interacting with family and you're interacting with other people and there's all these expectations and my reaction is typically to hit that big old eject button and be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so these days I actually do feel more lonely than I wish I did because I feel like I'm in pursuit of a life that only you and I really fully understand,
Mm,
which makes it really hard to explain to my friends
yeah.
and those that love me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be okay with them never really fully understanding it because it's okay. They don't have to get all the ins and outs, all of the pieces. But even just allowing them to know that things are really hard is all the doorway they needed.
Yeah. You just want to be seen.
Yeah.
And the presence of that feeling of loneliness is an invitation for you to allow yourself to be seen. And
Totally.
perhaps you being seen starts with you going out of your way and making an effort to see others so that you can experience the belonging and connection that's available to you.
So then I would throw the question back at you.
Look at the time. It's
Oh,
almost
we still have plenty of time. We've still got plenty of minutes.
um, yeah, that I'm scared.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know why. There's so many people in my life that are just like, oh man, I wish I was as fearless as he was. And I asked a buddy of mine one time, our mutual friend Lucas, who's now married to your college roommate.
She's great.
I asked Lucas one time, I was like, dude, how do you do it? And I remember when he first came back from Iraq and was injured by an explosive device and now has all these back issues. I'm just like, dude, how are you so fearless? Like, I can't imagine like running into a situation where a battle is going and bullets are flying. He's like, I won't repeat the language that he said. He was like, dude, I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
You just got to do it anyway, right? Like, it's just not
Mm.
an option. And it was just a reminder. It's not the first time I thought about that, but it was a reminder that there is no human being on the planet that is truly fearless. We're just doing it scared. The
Yeah.
people who do things that appear to be super brave, they're not fearless. They're just choosing to act courageously in the face of fear. And I think that's what bravery really is. And so I'm scared. I'm scared because we're taking big risks right now. I'm scared because I continue to be called outside of my comfort zone to try to do other things. And the reason I'm scared is not because I'm scared of failure. I guess it's a version of failure. It's not the kind of failure is like, oh, what if this doesn't work? And like we have to close our company, or what if this doesn't work and I have to let go some of our team members, or what if it doesn't work and I let my family down? It's not even that, because I mean, we're over 2 decades into this thing. And
Mhm.
like, I genuinely believe like you're in it for better or for worse till death do us part. And so we could be living out of our car. And I genuinely believe you're like, which seat is mine tonight? Like, which one do I want to sleep in?
Also, backseat's mine.
And the kids would probably be. I mean, the kids
No,
would
I'll
be
move
there
them
too.
if I need to.
Yeah, yeah. Like having
Yeah.
having kids also gave me a really awesome reminder that I am worthy of being loved, not because I'm like Harris the third, but just because I'm their dad. They don't love me for what I do. They love me for who I am. And I could tell so many stories about that. But what I'm trying to say is that the thing I'm scared about, or the type of failure that I'm scared of, it's not those types of failure.
Mhm.
It's the what if the vision isn't fulfilled and I'm the reason why? Like, what if there's some sort of blind spot that I have that gets in the way of us being able to accomplish the change in the world that I want to be able to accomplish? And that scares me out of my mind, that's what leads to I think it's perceived as like discipline or drive. And maybe that's what it is, but the drive is like, gosh, the vision is sacred. The vision is too important. There's people that are connected to the vision, and there's problems in the world that are connected to this vision. And if it doesn't feel like enough other people care about it, and so we need to make our own personal contribution to this. But I'm scared that somehow I could be the reason why it fails, and that I could be the reason why that gets held back, and I could be the reason why that change in the world that I'm feeling called to ends up not happening. Now, we could talk about all the different ways to respond to that, but that's not the point of this episode. It's loneliness. But just in talking about that, I mean, I'm holding back tears big time right now. But it's that first step of going, okay, I'm going to allow myself to be known. And with that, I feel more connected to others. And now I allow other people to see me. Let's just not make sure this is what was the word? Parasocial moment.
Parasocial. Oh no.
Like, this can't be the parasocial moment where people in the comments on the YouTube video and be like, Harris, I see you, bro. Like, thank you so much. But this has to go both ways. And that doesn't mean we can't watch, the leadership thoughts and insights of other people. It doesn't mean that listening to this podcast is bad, but listening to a podcast and following the lives of people that we respect and look up to can't replace the very real forms of connection that you have to experience offline. Because the presence of your loneliness, if you feel it, again, it doesn't mean that you're actually alone. You're a human being who's craving it just like everyone else. But if connection begins with what we talked about at the beginning, with presence and curiosity and allowing other people to hear your story, then I think that's a really good place to begin.
Just a lighthearted episode.
All right. Look, I'm glad that you're here. I want to keep wondering together as we always have on this episode. Anything you want to say before we wrap this one up?
We're just like you. We're all the same. We're all going through it. And it doesn't mean that we stop trying to get to where we want to go, or that we stop pursuing the things that we want. But know that I think I say this to a lot. I say this to people all the time. I see you. I may not physically see you, but I see you. You're not out there in the ether all alone. Even though it can feel that way. And we are sitting here having a conversation about loneliness, and I think you can be there any day of the week.
Yeah.
Pick a moment.
Yeah.
But that's why this.
Yeah. Well, if this topic has felt relevant to you all, we'd love to hear that. Again, you can do that in the usual ways that we always request. Ratings, reviews, they really do make a difference. But I think this is just a great time to pause and go, hey, like, this is a real topic that real people are struggling with, including us. And this is what the wisdom of WOW is all about. Again, this isn't a podcast about wonder. This is a podcast where we explore topics and issues and questions where wonder and the wisdom of WOW can be our guide. And so if there's something that you'd love to see us explore with vulnerability and try to find some sort of wisdom in that topic by us exploring it together and with you, we'd love to hear about that. You can do that in the comments below this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send us an email anytime. You can just email wonder@istoria.com. ISTORIA, that's our company, Istoria. But regardless of what you do from here, I hope, or at least in connection to the podcast and ratings and stuff, I hope that you take some action on this conversation, that you use your own wisdom of WOW to explore this topic of loneliness and isolation so that you could experience a little bit more connection and belonging, because I feel like you were meant for it. All right, that's it for this episode. Can't wait to talk to you guys again very soon. Thanks so much for listening to the Wisdom of WOW podcast. We're really glad that you're here. We'll talk to you again very soon.